All right, so apparently, I know this is not necessarily surprising news to everybody, but there has been a huge swing to the right for all of Europe and even plenty of Asian countries. And if you're on the right, this is great news. So I'm just going to take this straight from Fox Business. So roll tape.
It's a global political shakeup. History is made in Europe and Asia as a series of elections signal a potential shift to the right. Voters in Japan just elected their first female prime minister, but it's not the left's idea of a trailblazer. She dubbed herself Japan's Margaret Thatcher and promises to.
You know, it is surprising to me that they have not been showing a lot of press on this in the West in particular. You would think like Japan making its first female prime minister would get the feminists to go crazy, but it doesn't look like it's the case, especially with this woman. This is not their kind of feminist.
Bring pro-growth policy back to the country.
I can't even call her a feminist. This is not their kind of woman, period.
Japan stocks hit record highs. And in Europe, Czech voters just delivered a message of their own. They elected a billionaire businessman vowing to put Czech interests first. Kind of sounds familiar. Griff?
Shout out to the Czech Republic, by the way. I wish you all the best.
You're interested in this.
I am.
I have not followed Czech politics closely. You have.
So let's
You
start.
followed Japanese politics closely. What do you make of
I
this?
love international news, and I don't get to talk about it as much, being a reporter in Washington and then on the weekend. But I do think it's very fascinating. So Sane Takaichi is known as the Iron Lady, a reference to Margaret Thatcher and her ultra-conservative views. But did you know that among her favorite music and bands is Iron Maiden? Like literally,
No kidding.
Sane
I thought you were gonna say
Takaichi in
something else, and
college
I'm glad it
was
was
a
Iron.
heavy metal drummer and was a biker chick. And
Wow, she has excellent taste.
so here she is, this tough Japanese leader who, by the way, her mentor was Shinzo Abe, and she wants to bring back Abenomics back on the economic level. But here is a heavily male-dominated government, and here's this Iron Lady bringing in her heavy metal and biker toughness. When she got elected, she raised eyebrows because in Japan they're quite sensitive about the work-life balance stuff. And she said, "Not for me. It's going to be work, 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 and work." So I love that. Now on.
Ooh. Okay, so shout out to Japan, by the way. I love Japan. I have actually some friends from Japan, and they explained to me a lot about work life in Japan. And I have to say, good luck. I always thought Japan's work ethic was crazy, but I hope this works out well for them. I wouldn't want to live in that work environment. Yeah, the way my Japanese friends have described to me the work environment of Japan, I'm glad I was not in that environment. But I hope Japan uses this very well to their advantage. Good luck.
The Czech thing, let me just quickly say this. If you had any doubt the importance of Vice President Vance's speech back in February at the Munich Security Conference, we are seeing it play out in places like the Czech Republic right now. Remember, he went into what is the stiffest of all European stiff status quo events, the Munich conference, and he just blasted EU leaders, demanded they change their ways, that in Europe free speech was in retreat, and we are now seeing that influence of the rise of conservative populism in places like the Czech Republic.
Jonathan.
Okay, so I've lived in Europe for about 5 years-ish, and I have to say, I think this is all a process of finally Europeans standing up for themselves. It's been no secret that a lot of in particular, the Western European nations have brought in migrants from other countries that have been, let's say, funded by dark money, and politicians that will take dark money. to put it lightly. I mean, I don't know everything, obviously. I'm just a YouTuber. But I have to say, seeing a lot of the political right start to make a comeback or start to rise in general in these countries, a lot of it has to do with Europeans have the same gripes that Americans have been having. They're sick of their governments putting non-citizens in priority in terms of taxpayer funding over their own citizens. And they're sick of, in particular, their neighborhoods and their cities being flooded with immigrants that no one asked for, no one voted for. They have been forcefully brought to them against their will. I guarantee you, if before a lot of this immigration craze was announced, I think if the politicians had put on their party, campaign promises, they would have said something like, "Oh, we're going to flood the country with migrants." I guarantee you they wouldn't have been elected.
Every time I watch you with Stuart Varney, you've got some interesting stock pick, and a lot of them are international.
Yeah.
So I wonder what you make of this sort of increasing rightward tilt across the globe, hitting Japan now in the Czech Republic.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, well, the most successful countries have always been the most free, i.e. the United States. So, when you see countries moving towards more pro-growth, Thatcher-esque, if you will, policies, production comes from that. Bull markets come from that. So I'm glad.
I would agree that the largest or the most successful countries are free, because when you're free, there's hope. And I think it's no surprise that as the European nations have been more and more restrictive of freedoms, their economies have actually gone downward. They've been stagnating. It's been terrible. Anyway, I don't see a point to continuing the rest of this video to listen to these commentators. I believe they have said most of what my point was in this general video. Having said that, I wish you all a good weekend, and take it easy, guys.